We open on a scene of David Locke typing. On today's Locked On NBA Squad Show Lottery Edition, we will be reacting to the lottery. We'll be talking about your team. We'll be talking about where they land. We've got draft expert James Barlow from Locked On NBA Big Board with us. All that and more today's live edition of Locked On NBA Squad Show Lottery. And welcome in. I'm Nick Angstead, host of Locked On Mavericks podcast. Hoping for something good today for the Mavericks. Today's the Squad Show. It's an open invite to any of your hosts that cover your favorite team to talk about anything they want in the NBA lottery. We'll be reacting to the lottery. We'll be talking about what's happening. I'm joined today by James Barlow, Locked On NBA Big Board, Adam Armbrecht, Locked On Nets, Jackson Gatlin, Locked On Rockets, and our fearless leader, David Locke of Locked On Jazz. Hoping for some good things for all of our teams, and Jackson hoping for bad things for the Phoenix Suns.
New rules. They've actually are not having a lottery. Whoever got the worst record gets the pick. I don't know if you know that. They just changed the rules today.
We need a breaking news sounder per David Locke, per sources.
Right.
Nick coming in clutch with the breaking news sounder.
News with it. David Locke, if the Utah Jazz don't get number one, how sad are you going to be?
Well, if we get the fifth pick, which is the 48% chance, I'm going to cry.
A 50-50 chance. On today's show, 50-50% chance that David Locke will cry.
I got to call all 65 losses or whatever it was that earned us this right. I should not have to cry today.
Oh my!
David Locke, the cause of and solution to all the Jazz problems. I think that's fair to probably say.
And I have my Ron Boone good luck shirt on from Ron Boone when he played for the Utah Stars. Ron Boone played 1,041 straight games. He did not fake it like AC Green or Mikal Bridges. He actually played every single one of those games. He's never missed a practice. He's never missed a broadcast. I feel like if there's anybody who deserves to see Cooper Flagg at 78 years old and still bringing it, it's Ron Boone. So I have the good luck Ron Boone in Duke blue, just pointing that out. We're ready.
David, if the Jazz do fall to pick number 5, it's okay. We'll connect you with Koo from Locked On Pistons, and he'll help you kind of emotionally cope with being the worst team and somehow still not getting the number 1 overall pick.
Dude, can we do it for like 4 years in a row like he did?
So many times in a row. Oh man, we're joined by Sean Woodley, Locked On Raptors. Sean Woodley, how are you feeling about Canada getting some luck today?
I feel like it's in the cards. I feel like we deserve it. It's been a rough go here of late with you guys being all mean and stuff. I feel like why not send the best prospect in a decade coming out of college north of the border to a place that will actually give him healthcare and stuff. Yeah, let's do it, baby. Let's do geopolitics on the Squad Show.
Don't worry about it, Sean. We're only mean for like 2 weeks, and then we back off.
Yeah. You're very, very compelling bullies. Yeah.
That's a good place to start with James Barlow, though. James, is Cooper Flagg the best prospect coming out of college in a decade?
Yes. Well, he's the best prospect since Zion, since Anthony Davis. So, yes, basically. No,
2012, right?
Yeah. So, I guess you could say it. I mean, he checks the box. He plays hard. He plays defense. He's unselfish. The shooting got better as the season progressed. He was an amazing talent, and he surpassed the hype somehow. So, unfortunately, somebody's going to cry on this podcast, or the fan base is going to cry. So.
Who deserves Cooper Flagg the most from anybody?
Not the Spurs.
Okay.
I don't think anyone.
Not the Spurs. That's my answer to that question.
You don't want to see it, David. You don't want to see the Victor Wembanyama Cooper Flagg dynasty for the next 10 plus years.
How many years?
10 plus.
Oh man, no.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see it either.
The West doesn't need that.
Right down the street.
6.7% chance the Spurs get the number 1 pick.
As much
I know
as
that
I'd
some
be
people
thrilled
say the Brooklyn Nets messed up their own chances to have the number 1 overall pick once they traded back to get control of their picks and then proceeded to win too many games. But I still think the Brooklyn Nets are deserving, right? I mean, they're technically a major market team, and they need it. They need the boost.
As much as I'd be thrilled to see another star player go west to ensure a clear path through a very soft Eastern Conference for many, many years for the Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes Raptors. Look, Deserve's got nothing to do with it. All these teams stink. They're where they are for a reason.
Whoa.
Except, okay,
we're here because we made savvy trades, okay?
Yeah, and you also, sold your soul for 3 years to get where you are as well. Like, yeah, like when you're at the bottom of the league, there's no honor among these teams. It's all, hoping for extreme luck to save you from your horrible plight that you have accomplished on your own. All of these teams, you could talk yourself into any of these teams having some sort of ethical case for it, but really not really. Like, I could get on here and say the Raptors with their 7th worst record and their 30 wins, hitting the Vegas over by 1, actually deserve to be rewarded here for not throwing away the back part of their season whilst innovating in new ways to tank.
Wait, who didn't throw away the back part of their season?
Here's the thing: they played their main guys. They got them some
for
run,
like 15 minutes.
Time minutes for their most important young players to foster.
Didn't we do this on a squad show? Didn't we have this argument? You were
I was like making a bold statement saying
Sean Woodley is the biggest proponent in the world of ethical tanking. That's what he calls it, ethical tanking.
You're damn right, man. Look, the Raptors back in 2021, they were handed this.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the starting lineup against the Dallas Mavericks in the second to last game by the Toronto Raptors.
I was sitting courtside for that game.
You decide vodka, author, or NBA player. Like which Jonathan Mogbo.
It's Mobo, thank you very much. A beautiful multi-positional defender. We
player would be a good vodka name, though.
Okay, vodka, author, or Raptor player. Jameson Battle.
No,
it's a real player.
Author, I think.
Real player, but Jameson is a whiskey.
real Shed.
Player.
Location?
Houston legend.
Shed is a verb.
Look, here's the thing.
That lineup was terrible. But I get tanking at the end of a season, though. The Mavs have done that very recently.
Everybody's doing it. You got to play ball. But when it's the start of March and everyone else is rolling out their bad players for the entire 48-minute stretches, look, Larry Markkinen, he's so hurt he can't play at all down the stretch. He couldn't possibly play in more than 45 games. No. Like the Raptors played their dudes, and then again, in crunch time moments where you're getting development done, you're playing these hard minutes against the Chicago Bulls and the Orlando Magic and the Charlotte Hornets B team.
Those are hard minutes.
Jamal Shed, crunch time minutes. These are valuable developmental reps, and the Raptors are going to be better for it, baby.
Didn't you trade for Brandon Ingram? And how many games did he play for you?
It wasn't necessary for him to play. That's a long-term play. That's an off-season move, baby.
That's what the Jazz said about Larry Markkinen, too. It wasn't necessary for him to play.
Well, he also was still getting cortisone shots in the last week of the season. So
this is the case for the Brooklyn Nets being the most deserving of getting this pick. Like, if you just look at rosters, every other team represented here has players, real young talent that you would say are going to be a part of your future. There's not a single player on the Brooklyn Nets roster
who has young players.
2 years from now, they are going to be playing for the Brooklyn Nets. Nobody else here can make that claim. That's how bad the Brooklyn Nets have been.
All right.
The Nets. Wait. The Nets deserve a pick because of poor roster building over the course of several decades.
Now, hold on now.
Also, this is Cam Thomas erasure. Okay, I will not stand for it.
I'm glad Mike's here because the Blazers are the actual answer here. The Blazers won more games than they quote unquote should have. They have a bunch of cool young guys that would be tied together beautifully by a star player to kind of lead them into the future. If it's not the Raptors, I hope it's the Blazers. They have themselves an ethical tanking season. Sean approved ethics on this tank for them.
Can somebody?
That's not a good thing, Mike. I know you just joined in, but Sean's approved.
Those are bad ethics. Those are bad ethics.
Can somebody explain? And I gotta give a little plug in for my son's college. The Williams College brilliance of Raphael of the Houston Rockets general manager, who somehow has Jackson Gatlin in this conversation in the first place. Like, how did you get here, Rocket guy? Like, how did you end up fleecing everyone to be in this conversation?
You bank on the demise of a Kevin Durant-led team for the second time in a row, because you banked on the demise of the Brooklyn Nets, and then they imploded spectacularly. And then you did it a second time because you're like, hey, The Nets have all those juicy Suns picks, and they want their own picks back so that they can not ethically tank, but egregiously tank. And then they somehow didn't even do that. And that's how the Rockets are sitting here. It's fantastic.
And that's why the Nets deserve the pick. Look at how inept they've been.
I don't think we understand how the word deserve works here.
Listen, there's not even a guarantee that
ethics.
the Brooklyn Nets take Cooper Flagg if they get the first overall pick. They might pass. They might pass on him. We don't know for sure. That's why you have to take the chance here.
Who's this year's Marvin Bagley? That's what I want to know.
James, who is this year's Marvin Bagley?
Whoever the Kings take, probably.
Look, I'm in Chicago. I don't want to speak that Marvin Bagley life with anybody that I might see tomorrow in person. So,
He said he's not going to put that evil on anybody. Oh,
I'm
man.
not going to speak that 'cause somebody's parent might actually see me. So you have to get that information in 2 years when we know who this year's Marvin Bagley is. I can't do that right now. I'm not close to home, so.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of the Rockets, somebody in the chat and the Locked On Mavs chat wants to know where Locked On Suns is right now.
Probably crying in a corner somewhere that they don't have their pick.
Speaking of bad choices in life.
That is tough.
Ben will not stop messaging me about Kevin Durant trade scenarios. He just keeps blowing up my phone every other day about KD trade scenarios.
As soon as the Mavs got eliminated, he did the same thing to me too about the Mavs.
So is Matt Ishbia the most deserving of his team winning the lottery tonight, just because of what it means and where the pick goes? Is this a Matt Ishbia deserved lottery? Yeah, exactly. The payment that comes due for new owner syndrome. I think that's fair.
I think fans want Matt Ishbia until they get him. So, like, I don't know about deserve. Like, you want an owner that spends and blah 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 blah. You know, sometimes an owner gets caught up in hosting an all-star game in their own city, and then they win 37 games, and then they got caught in a 5-year cycle of rebuilding because they really wanted Lowry Markkanen to play in a hometown all-star game. So it's not always great to have new ownership. One of my great conspiracy theories is that the All-Star game in Salt Lake City was one of the worst things that could have ever happened to the Jazz. David, you don't have to speak to it, but I'll say it again. It was one of the worst things that could have happened to the Jazz because they had to win 37 games during the Victor Wembanyama draft.
New theory. Hadn't heard it.
Yeah, there you go. But I think, like, deserving in terms of ownership, I don't know. You don't want to root for any of these people.
Yeah, none of them deserve it. Yeah.
I mean, guys, the Mavs have been through a lot.
That's true.
Boy, here's a problem. Here comes a problem. The Dallas Mavericks enter the fray.
Dallas Mavericks fans are very deserving of winning, but
that is the current, like, ethical scenario that I've run into talking about deserving, because Mavs fans deserve to get the #1 pick because of what happened to them. But the team itself, who runs the team, ownership, front office, all that, don't deserve it at all. And I was listening to some shows today where they were like, yeah, the Mavs are the least deserving, and all they talked about was the front office and the decision that they made and all that. Like, yeah, can't give them another young generational talent because
can Mark Cuban buy back the team? That's the real question mark.
Like, is he able? Is it possible and able?
Could he? Should he? Will he?
Do we want to talk about the reason why we think he traded the team or he sold the team in the first
No,
place?
we don't want you hijacking this and turning this into Locked On Mavs, Nick. Stop it.
The Luka Doncic trade was the
Well, we successfully shoehorned that in.
Don't hit play on it. I'll start going off on it again. Oh, all right. We've sat here long enough. Let's do a spin, boys. Let's do a spin.
Oh, well, don't you know you have to use Fanspo? It's so much more dramatic.
We could,
I do
but
wish there was like a longer, like, protracted.
Yeah, Fanspo has the dramatic setting. And
I'll go back.
Yeah, you got, like, my listeners tip me off on this because I don't know, but anybody else, but we have run a simulated lottery every day for 45 days on the show. So
45 days, David, that's not good enough. You got to start that stuff back in, like, December, man. Come on.
By the way,
you're missing out on content.
The Rockets were the #1 pick today. Jackson, if you get the #1 pick, who do you want? Cooper Flagg or Giannis?
Why not both? You can get both. You could get both.
You could, but
okay. You got to trade on.
I'm just putting that. I'm putting that disclaimer, and that's not greedy or whatever. The Rockets have a very enticing trade package for Giannis right now, without including the number 1 overall pick or Cooper Flagg or any variation of that. So they could have both.
Are you including Amen Thompson in this though? Like if you're not dealing Thompson,
about like teams that don't get the number 1, teams that get 2, 3, 4, 5, right? As you work down the lottery, the Giannis conversation I think does become even more fascinating. Like I think most franchises are going to say, "Hey, give me Cooper Flagg, new cornerstone, all that." But depending on where you fall and how your board is stacked up, you can be sitting there at 4, 5, and 6 having a real conversation, picking up the phone around a player like that.
Where
James
Barlow, where are the dividing lines in this draft? Make sure you go to dynamic setting, Nick, because it slows it down. Trust me, I'm an expert with this set. James Barlow, where are the dividing lines? 1, right? There's a big gap between 1 and 2, right?
1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then there's a gap between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And then depending on who you ask, there's a gap between 3 and 5, but realistically it could be 3 and 7. And that's when you're trying to figure out, okay, do I like this guy? Do I like what he does to my team, what he could do for my team? Is he somebody I could build around? But also, you got to think next year's draft is supposed to be better than this one. So, okay, this guy, we can play him a lot, and he can still put us in position to be in a spot to land a top 3 pick for next year. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this works.
Let's
jump it in from Locked On Sixers.
The Brooklyn Nets being, 50% chance to pick 7th or 8th, right in that sweet spot where the gap really finishes off, and then you're sitting there whether or not.
That's where you don't want to be, 7th or 8th.
100%.
Jumping in from Locked On Sixers, Kayla Santiago. Kayla, do the Sixers deserve the number 1 pick this year? We were just talking about who deserves it the most.
You know what's funny? Looking at the Sixers team, I would love to say absolutely, but I really don't think so. I mean, this is a team that did something that they were supposed to do finally throughout the season. The only thing they did good this year was tank. They weren't supposed to be this bad of a team. So, yes, I would love it. I would love to have Cooper Flagg in Philadelphia, but no, I don't necessarily think they deserve it. But I'm nervous we're going to end up because they need to end up in that top 6 or 8.
Yeah.
This is the first host to say that their team doesn't deserve it.
I know. It's crazy.
I said nobody deserves it.
Wait, can we go on the 2 things that we don't want to have happen today, at least from my opinion? I mean, 1, we don't want San Antonio to get another number 1 pick. Like
agree across the board.
We agree, right? Number 2 is, please, Philadelphia, don't screw this up and give Oklahoma City another top 10.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. Like for some reason, this is just going to end up not the way that we need it to end up. And the 76ers are going to be even worse than they were this past season. So it could be a dumpster fire in Philadelphia.
But hold on, though,
I
David.
think OKC like getting this pick doesn't scare me that much because it's just another pick that they can choose not to trade for the obvious upgrades they badly need at the trade deadline. So,
or it's going to be the pick that they flip for Giannis. So that's problematic.
San Antonio, depending on where the ping pong balls fall, they can get Giannis because they have the trade package to do it. So I don't know if you want them to have Cooper Flagg or do you want them to have a trade package for Giannis.
He wants a state with no income tax.
All right, I figured it out.
Meteor instead of that. That sounds like the end of the world.
Pick the meteor. All right, I figured it out. I hit dramatic, David. I've got all this. I've got all the settings right.
Yep.
All right.
This is a good setup.
Simulating the lottery. Starting with the Spurs at 14. Hawks. The Mavs at 12. So the Mavs moved down.
Oh, Chicago went up.
Oh,
Portland
in the top 4.
Wow.
Houston is at 10. Suns traded top 10 pick. Spurs,
Philadelphia
Raptors down.
keeps their pick.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh, Philadelphia goes in.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Oh, Wizards down.
Oh, tough stuff.
Chicago gets 4.
Come on.
Okay, I like
Philly
that.
at 3. Uh-oh.
Come on.
Oh. Wow. Shout out. Locked on Hornets, Doug Branson. Doug Branson deserves
I
it.
had this already. Cooper Flagg jersey right here, baby.
Loving the painter's tape.
James, if this happens, Charlotte gets Cooper Flagg. How do you feel about that team?
They'll be exciting. They need some more adults and they need some health. But Cooper Flagg is going to be fine everywhere. But in Charlotte, I think you start to see them on TV more. Maybe that helps LaMelo decide to play some winning basketball. But I kind of don't like him in Charlotte, though. I'd rather him go to Utah and start new than for him to end up in Charlotte. They got some stuff they got to work out still.
David, if the Utah Jazz get 2, was this whole season worth it?
Yeah, I think I actually think Ace Bailey's really interesting. I want to see what he measures here at the combine. That's like a big conversation. I think everybody in the world thinks that Dylan Harper's 2, and Dylan Harper is really, really good. So I think that's but I actually would also say, like, I have a little bit of me watching Ace Bailey that's not entirely. I wouldn't shut the door. I would really investigate that. Let me just put it that way. James may think I'm nuts on that. I think most people do, but there's something about if he's really 6'10". I like 6'10" an awful lot.
Well, so he measured at 6'7" today barefoot. So the 6'10", unless he's playing in some platforms, I don't think he's gonna get to 6'10". But at 6'8", he's still who he is. So will they take him at 2 though? I don't know. I think they like Dylan Harper a little bit more, especially considering your point guard situation last year.
Well, we're not drafting for position at this point. We're taking talent, baby.
Drafting from position of need never works out unless you pick Derek Lively. And
we don't have need. We have needs.
Yeah, the team is
best player
all
available.
needs.
Isaac Harris, Locked On Mavs.
Let's do this.
Is this the first time the Mavs ever jump up in the lottery ever in the history of the Dallas Mavericks?
God, we need it. If there's ever a time to just rig this thing for a fan base, not the front office, just for the fans, we need something.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg will look pretty fun in Vegas.
Isaac and I are moving there. I mean, screw it. We might as well.
Just stay in Canada. All right.
Let's go back to our mock we just did. Kayla, if the Sixers get 3, what changes for the franchise? Are they back? Are we back? Are we saying the Sixers are back?
I love that some of you guys are saying Ace Bailey might drop the 3 because he's actually the second guy that I wanted if they couldn't get the number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg. I wouldn't say they're back because they're truly only back if Joel Embiid can be healthy, and that hasn't happened in one season yet. But at the end of the day, he would fit in really, really nicely with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. So I would be happy with number 3 if that's where he drops.
Matt George, what are you hoping for today? We don't know.
He might be on mute.
No one knows.
Matt George has never been on mute in his life.
Matt George is representing the Kings losing their pick at 13 or 14. There's like a 96% chance.
Yeah.
Wait, what is the scenario where Sacramento gets their pick?
They have like a 3% chance or 4% chance that they could get top 4.
Oh, and then Atlanta loses that pick.
Yeah. Matt, just explain in facial expressions.
Incredible.
What, Matt? What are you building around in Sacramento?
I think we can hear you now. Try again.
Are you at a
You got
family
me?
reunion?
You got me now? Hey, I'm here. You know what? They can try and censor me, but you know what? We will talk Kings on this podcast.
We
can all deal with it. You cannot silence the 3.8% chance Sacramento Kings, okay? To answer David Locke's question, how do the Kings keep their pick? They literally have to hit a 3.8% chance of moving into the top 4 or a 0.8% chance of winning the lottery outright. If not, they don't have a draft pick, which is a great way to start a new regime in Sacramento after trading away your star player, by the way. But I digress.
You know, when San Antonio trades for Giannis, it's Sacramento's fault, right? Because they didn't take enough from San Antonio on the De'Aaron Fox trade, and so San Antonio still has enough pieces left in their puzzle. It all comes back to being Sacramento's fault.
You're welcome, NBA.
I think it's really Doc Rivers' fault for not finding a way to make Dame and Giannis work. Just throwing that one out there.
Doc
Rivers
straight, man.
starting a sentence with it's Doc Rivers' fault that it could just be.
It can relate to so many different things. Listen, we know over here in Philadelphia.
I just gave plenty of different fan bases like PTSD from Doc Rivers. There we go.
Pretty much.
Mike Richmond, Locked On Blazers. If you don't get top 4, you have 63% chance at 10. How are you feeling about that pick and the team going forward?
Bad.
This is the most depressing show.
Yeah, I mean, they won a lot of games in the second half of the season. They're pretty competent defense in the second half of the season, but they're shy of the thing that lets you be competitive year in and year out, which is a dude. And you can draft those players at 10, but the overwhelming history of the league suggests that you don't. And they may have backed themselves into a position where they are, with all due respect to Matt George and the good people of Sacramento, that sort of mid-aughts Kings that just drafted 6, 6, 8, 7, 9 forever. And it's just like, you can't build the boat out of Ben McLemore's and Jimmer Fredette's. Like, you just have to draft a little bit higher. And when you do draft a little bit higher, you have to take Luka Doncic. It's very simple.
And then what do you do?
You gotta hit him. And then you need to not trade that player also when he's on the roster for a totally okay player, Anthony Davis. But yeah, I do think the Blazers are in a weird spot because they're just not one of the good teams in the West, and it's really hard to get to that level drafting at 10.
So the Blazers.
Can we go back to that boat? I just am trying to visualize the Ben McLemore, Jimmer Fredette built boat and what that actually is.
They're both rowing on the same side of the boat. They just go in a circle.
The Blazers are trying to build a yacht, and the Sacramento Kings know how to build a dinghy. Okay, if you want a dinghy, we'll tell you about the Ben McLemore, Nick Stauskas dinghy in Sacramento. It stays afloat. It takes on a little bit of water.
It's the boat that heads directly to the Chinese basketball league. You just right across the Pacific.
I like that Mike Richmond wanted to point out that, like, traditionally you don't find a dude like, at 10 or whatever. Meanwhile, like, how many can I reel off right now? That I guess some aren't still in the playoffs, but Donovan Mitchell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Giannis mid-teens. Like, there's a lot of guys that were taken in the mid-teens that turned out to be like the dude, the star player.
Certainly, there is a recent history of players outside the lottery being effective, but I would say go back to the last 25 years of NBA drafts, overwhelmingly more likely to find stars in the top 5 than outside of the top 5. It is just the truth. We remember the survivors. I would also argue that in Oklahoma City, they nailed the J-Dub pick, right? But they're not where they are without picking second and getting Chet Holmgren. The Cavs are really good because they have 2 top 5 picks in Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Like, you might not get the guy, but to build out a star quality team starting from where you are and being a team that doesn't sign free agents. I know that's weird for you in the 4th largest market in America, but other teams don't get to play that game. So you got to win the draft, and to win the draft, you usually got to be in the top 5.
He's not in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That's the 4th largest.
Get out of here, Nick.
We get to count all the cities.
Let's not get into some game where anyone believes anything other than over the history of the draft. There is a direct line from the average win share by pick by where you draft it. It's like, for all of our criticisms of drafting and GMs don't know anything and this and that, the exact opposite is true in the NBA. Like, you want where the most win shares are, find the pick number. Like, that's the answer. Yeah, it happens. And you can run your franchise on the hope that you get the greatest draft pick in the history of the game, like Denver or Giannis, which is probably the 2 best draft picks ever. But they happen once every 50 years or twice, evidently, after 50 years. So
when's the last time we got one? Are we due?
David
Shea was 11th. Like, yeah,
11th.
That's pretty. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. Set to dramatic.
Hold on. I have a question, boss.
Okay, well,
David, if y'all
say the thing.
Y'all landed one more thing.
Yeah.
If y'all land at 2, is it Danny Wolf or Knipple?
Are you implying that there's a certain pattern of drafting by the Utah Jazz?
No, I didn't know what that debate internally with Danny Ainge looked like right now.
Okay, I was just wondering. You know what it is? You know what I might have to just do right now? Because Isaac Harris hasn't heard it. You know what I'm doing?
Make the beat go hard like Kendrick's, not like us. Yeah, I'm writing from the land where the mountains rise. Salt Lake dreams in the fans' wide eyes. Been grinding through the snow, no disguise. Now we staring at the sky, praying lottery aligns. Monday night, fate's about to speak. Give me that one spot, make this rebuild sleek. Copper flag prodigy, cold technique. White and gold jersey, future looking elite. Flag day, light it up like it's Broadway. Change the course of the franchise, my way or Yahweh. Jazz got soul, now we need that crown. Number one pick, bring the whole league down. Ain't talking tank, we've been teaching the youth. Kessler's a wall, Keontae the truth. But every symphony needs that spark to ignite. Flag with the brush stroke, paint the future bright. From Maine to the range, now we touching the sky. Coach Will got the vision, let the tempo fly. He a mismatch, slick pass, break glass, bang. Next Stockton to Malone, nah, he do his own. Flag day, calling it a crusade. Jazz notes rising like a church on parade. Draft night prayers, let the ping pong fall. Coop in a jersey, now we ballin' for all. So we manifesting blessings, no cap.
I can't do another verse. I can't do another verse.
Not as good as Double Down, by the way. Not as good as Double Down, but it's a close second.
Is Karl Malone jersey still like a thing? Or?
Well, they ask him why they had to replace Karl Malone with Post Malone. Let's do.
Josh Giddey's like, can I get
this
traded?
Was fun. Bye, guys.
Let's do another spin. Set to dramatic.
Hey, is Sean Woodley leaving because we did a Kendrick Lamar style show instead of a Drake thing there? Is that what happened?
I still think it's funny. You
That
think that's
neither of that was not in the realm of either, even remotely. And I want to just hop out my third floor window after having heard that. That is not what I want in my life. Carry on, do the thing.
San Antonio at 8. We're on. Everything's on, right?
Oh no!
Yeah,
Pelicans just moved down.
Oh.
Jazz down.
Jazz
the worst case scenario for the
If
Jazz.
only we didn't play the damn song.
There we go again.
Wow,
Brooklyn.
It's destined.
Brooklyn.
Wow.
It's because we played the song. That's what did it, David.
The song legitimately
Karma is real.
100% bad rap music, you get bad results.
Liam McNeely, number 5. Here we go.
James, if the Brooklyn Nets get Cooper Flagg, what happens to that team?
Oh man, great things happen to that team. He doesn't have anybody to play with for a while because that roster is kind of ugly. But that's a great starting piece. And maybe you're still in a good spot for 2026. Actually, you should be, because then you got to trade Cam Thomas immediately because they had to pull his hamstring for him, so he would stop helping them win. Then you trade Cam Johnson, but if you're the Nets and you get Cooper Flagg, build a statue already for him because they need it very bad.
The Sixers got 3. You're still feeling good. You're feeling good about Ace Bailey going to the Sixers, Kayla?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I hope Daryl Morey makes sure that he picks the right pick, though. That's all I'm going to say, because he might look after maybe a backup for Joel Embiid at number 3. Everything can go wrong if they don't get number 1 because we're leaving it into the hands of Daryl, but I would love Ace Bailey at number 3.
Jackson, how far have we fallen that Daryl Morey is now like this GM where we're like, oh my God, we have no idea what he's going to do here?
Just a massive fall from grace. I mean, there was a point in time where I think Daryl Morey was widely considered like a top 5 GM, asset management, all that. And then I remember Sixers fans were just excited when he came on board originally. And now that is
underwhelming.
Heel turn.
Kayla, we'll trade you.
Oh, no. oh, no, I'm good. Although I will say, depending on what happens health-wise, you guys might be in a better situation than the 76ers next year. So maybe you're doing something right. Not very right, but a little bit better than Philadelphia.
Depending on health-wise is the Dallas Mavericks Philadelphia Sixers story for like
literally
the next year, 2 years. Who do we have at the Jazz got 5. David, if your worst case scenario happens, who are you picking there? Let's say Edgecombe and Bailey are both gone.
Trae Young.
Ooh. Explain. He's not in the draft.
I mean, I do wonder, like, if you get 5, is that how you play 5 instead of playing it as a draft pick?
Oh.
Do you Zion
Definitely
Williamson?
a thing the Jazz should be doing in their current situation.
Do you Trae Young? Do you go get a player instead?
Yeah, when would the Jazz hit the gas? You know, like they seem to be a team that's like back in the lottery for at least this year and next, and thanks in large part to hosting an All-Star game in Salt Lake City. But like, but like, when would they hit the gas? You know, because I think that's a question for a lot of teams that are kind of in this range. It's like, when do you go from being okay to trying to be actually good?
And if you get the 5th pick in this draft, James. You like what are you getting? Like, and are you getting, does that mean you need 2 or 3 more years of being in the top 5 to come out of this thing? Do you need 2 more years? What do you need?
How do you feel about Walker Kessler? So
I think Walker Kessler.
You could go with another big.
Walker Kessler is the one player on our roster other than Lowry Markkanen, probably, who I think will be on the roster when the team is good again as a rotation player, and I'm certain of that fact. Like, I don't know yet on Keontae or Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, whether they're NBA rotation players yet. I don't know yet. I'm actually on board on Key. I'm not sure on the other 2 yet. But
I got one for you.
So
if you're at 5 and you're Utah and Trey Johnson is there, I think you go with Trey Johnson because he is somebody who's bigger at the 2 than Colin Sexton. Trey Johnson measured at 6'4.5", 6'5" today, and he had a 6'10" wingspan. And he could be the best shooter in this draft. He shot extremely well, and it was a very difficult volume of shots because he was Texas's only guy. So he can score. He's got length. He's not really getting to the basket maybe like you want him to, but he's got that microwave scoring ability. And I do think he's a better passer than what they asked him to do at Texas because he was the guy there. So there's still something there. It's a shot in the dark, but again, you know, you don't want to be 5th, obviously. But if he's there, he's somebody I would definitely take a look at. But don't listen to the Con Knipple or any other random white guy at 5 that they keep speaking on you.
It's Danny Wolf's music.
Who's the guy from Illinois? Igor Oh, there's Jack Jonas, but what about Igor Demin? He's your local guy.
Yeah, but you don't want him at 5. He's
I know, certainly. But the Jazz, who knows? Yeah. They keep on drafting Keontae Georges and Isaiah Colliers and Taylor Hendrickses. So, you know, you never know what they're thinking.
He might remind
I think it's Taylor Hendrickses, but okay.
James, can I ask you a question about Dylan Harper?
Go ahead.
So sorry if just ignore it if y'all have already talked about Harper, but a lot of people have talked about tonight as the Cooper Flagg night, and this is when we find out where Cooper Flagg goes. Is it also the Cooper Flagg Dylan Harper night? Is it the Flagg Harper? We know where both of these guys go because it feels like every draft board has Dylan Harper at number 2. Like there's no variance that I've seen about ones that I like really look at. So is Harper that good that no matter who lands at 2, he should be the pick?
I think absolutely. He's 6'6". He shot like 60% at the rim, which was more than most bigs. And, you know, bigs catch the ball as play finishers. He was getting it off the dribble. He's lost some weight. And I think that he's not your dunk on you kind of athlete, but he's like, it's functional athleticism. Notch, same level as Shai Gilgeous, maybe a notch higher where he uses his body to get to the basket. And like when he was healthy, he had a stretch where it was 20-something points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And that was when he wasn't making jump shots. So I think he's clearly the second best player in the draft. And then you look at the success like Shai Gilgeous, obviously. Cade Cunningham had his moments in the playoffs as like these 6'6" combo guards. And it kind of feels like that's where the league is. Guys are starting to trend towards. So I think that this is the Cooper, obviously, up here. And then a couple notches low it's Dylan Harper. And then there it's Ace Bailey. It could be VJ Edgecombe. I think it could be Jeremiah Fears. It could be it's going to come down to where the ping pong balls fall.
I shouldn't ask this question, but like, where does Cooper Flagg not want to go?
Him as a person?
Like, if you're Cooper Flagg, they just put Cooper Flagg on television. He's sitting there. He's going to, like, where is he going to have to, when it comes up that he's going there, is he hiding his emotions?
Washington.
Sacramento.
No. We're close to Tahoe.
I think Charlotte's pretty unexciting if you're an NBA player. They haven't won a playoff series since George W. Bush was in office. Like it's a long road. That's real. Ask Doug. It's just it's just not a place where people pump their fists about ending up.
But
I'd love to hear.
He played at Duke. LaMelo is exciting when he does play. Now, that doesn't necessarily win you games, how he plays, but maybe Cooper is the guy that steadies that ship because he's going to do things, the right way. But, you got the built-in, ACC fan base. I mean, I guess you could say that's probably the worst spot for him, but it's still like, you know what? You got a point guard, an all-star level point guard when he is healthy. I feel like there could be worse. Go ahead.
No, he would love Charlotte because it means in 5 years he'll be in LA or New York. So there you go. Like that's the pipeline.
What about New Orleans? Jake's not here to defend himself, but that does seem like where stars go to die.
Or
they're really good at winning the lottery.
Do they die or do they get mismanaged while they're there?
Well, or so they get killed.
That's all, folks.
I mean, what do you
say? Will be interesting.
It was all. I can't believe they haven't even started anything with the lottery yet. Like they're still just showing. Yeah. They're still just showing everybody's sitting on stage. Everybody's representative.
What's the appeal of like Washington to him? Like, there's gonna be so many cheesy, corny, I don't know, puns and jokes about Flagg being in Washington D.C. and it's like, all right, cool, we get it. But I mean, Jordan Poole, I would love for someone, if Washington wins it and he gets asked like, hey, what are you looking forward to about running pick and roll with Jordan Poole? Cool.
Those teams are drafted there for a reason.
If the Wizards win the lottery, it's all because Bub Carrington's buzzer beater on the final game of the season.
Yes.
Right? Like, if the Jazz win the lottery, Bub Carrington's buzzer beater cost his team Cooper Flagg. Just on the funny little things that are in there.
James, who's a player that...
Wait, are we in business right now? Is this starting for you all?
It's starting in a second.
They're starting.
Let me introduce you to Ashley Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the Utah Jazz representative. Ryan Smith's wife.
Let me introduce you to Rolando Blackman. Confidence, baby, confidence. That's what he yelled in the All-Star game. He yelled in the All-Star game when he was taking free throws one time. It's one of the funniest NBA clips ever. The best representative, though, is Hakeem for the Rockets. That is quite the get, Jackson.
Easily, like by far. They really broke out the good luck charm to try and land another #1 overall pick.
I actually think he's become one of the most underrated players in the history of the game.
It's because people don't know ball.
2 titles, and I don't hear him in top 10 very often. And then you go look at his numbers.
I think it always has the Jordan was not playing addendum on it.
Which he was playing the second year. He lost in the first round.
I'd take him over Shaq.
It's an interesting discussion. Where does Duncan? How about Duncan?
Yeah, that's a center.
Ooh.
Olajuwon, Duncan, or Shaq? What order?
I'm taking Duncan first.
Yeah, Duncan.
Yeah, Duncan.
Duncan.
I think Duncan.
Whoa, Zion showed up.
Looking good.
But he's in his uniform, the street clothes.
Oh, low blow.
Hey, we've got that. We've got that covered over here now. We've got Mr. Street Clothes. We can
all
make
the opposing GMs are like wanting to see him in person and talk to him about trading for him.
I would trade for Zion.
Zion's in great shape.
Who else would trade for Zion?
Famous last words.
What a smart move by New Orleans, sending him to the place where all the opposing GMs are.
In shape too. There you go.
He's got the signs.
You go the wrong place.
Who's the most nervous Locked On host right now?
Me.
Me.
Kayla.
Me 2.0.
I remember this feeling
Kayla.
years ago when OKC had a 50-50 chance at getting the Rockets pick back during the Jalen Green draft.
Oh,
I was sweating bullets.
Do you
That's how I
regret the
feel.
Rockets getting that pick now, Jackson?
if we get to 5 and the 76ers haven't been selected, it's gonna be rough.
David, go ahead and call it out because you know the lottery and all the
All right,
odds
first
better
one
than
should be
anybody.
Atlanta or San Antonio. So San Antonio through Atlanta. Second one should be Atlanta via Sacramento, unless Matt George has a lucky day here.
Unless he's happy.
We're on. 14 goes to Sacramento. Excuse me, goes to San Antonio. 13 goes to Atlanta. I wasn't ready for that, by the way.
Bye, Matt.
This should be Chicago. 12 should be Chicago. It is. 11 should be Dallas.
Oh, this would be insane.
Portland.
Oh!
Dallas to jump to the top 4.
What?
Nico Harrison does not deserve this.
Oh, the first time in Dallas Mavericks history they're moving up in the lottery. Wow.
That's bad news for Philadelphia, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
I smell
Now-
fish.
now I'm
Houston
real
at 10.
nervous.
Be 10. That's back on level.
Wow.
This is getting nervous for Philadelphia right here.
Bye,
San
guys.
Antonio should be
Bye,
9.
Jackson.
It's the Raptors. The Spurs have jumped. No!
Oh,
No!
Oh my God, the Spurs and the Mavericks will be in the top 4.
No!
But Texas is just getting tough right now. Jared McCain's face.
Brooklyn should be next.
Okay, Brooklyn at 8. Yep.
This should Philadelphia's out, right? This is Oklahoma City with the next pick now. No, the Pelicans.
The Pelicans.
So Philadelphia has jumped up as well. So the Jazz are likely. The Jazz, Washington, and Wizards go to 6.
The Wizards go to 6.
Jazz are likely at 5 now. No, say it's not so. Goodbye, this please.
Oh my God, I'm like shocked at what I'm seeing. This is the first time I've been utterly shocked at a lottery.
Bro, if the Mavs get Cooper Flagg, wow.
oh my gosh, that it's rigged.
The Jazz at 5. David Locke, 48% chance that he would cry. The Hornets are in the top 4. So the top 4 will be some order of the Mavs, the Spurs, the Sixers, and the Hornets.
Well, you got Trae Young.
David Locke, what are you doing with the 5th pick?
I don't know. It's not good. Well, it's not ideal.
Look at Terrell Morey.
Dallas,
Terrell Morey with his head on the table.
Charlotte's still up there, right?
Yeah, the Mavericks, the Spurs, the Sixers, and the Hornets will be top 4 in some order.
Oh my gosh.
Isaac, your reaction to the Mavs getting in the top 4?
That is
Dude, I'm ecstatic right now. I mean, if we get top 2, that's insane. But
the Dylan Harper to the Mavericks like fills a need and also sets them up in the future. Like that would be such a get for the Mavs, even if they don't get one.
Talking. I am mad
Unless
at
they
you.
trade him later on.
Stop talking.
James, what are you gonna say?
They might get Cooper Flagg.
No.
Hey, listen. The Mavs did the NBA a favor
They owed
to
him
increase the ratings, and Adam Silver is paying them back.
Nico Harrison.
I didn't bring any tinfoil with me on this trip to Chicago, but I see where you're going. I see. Just like the Spurs were the model mid-sized franchise, and they gave them Wemby.
So we're at Dallas, San Antonio, Philadelphia, and Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kayla, top
Dallas?
4 pick for the Sixers.
Dallas. Oh,
If
Anthony Davis.
Edgecombe is there, I do like him, although he's small. And the 76ers, I don't think I'm going to go small with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. So maybe Ace Bailey will fall to 4, depending on who gets top 3. I'm a little nervous, though. This is
the first time the commercial break has actually like mattered to Mavericks fans ever in the history of the law. Well, I guess the Luka draft, but we knew they didn't go before the commercial. Absolutely wild. Isaac, if the Mavs got Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey, or if they got 3 or 4, that's the one we've been talking about the last couple of weeks where we're like, if they get 3 or 4, that becomes an interesting decision.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Fears is a natural guy for them.
I told you about that,
James. Like, what?
I told you.
Yeah, Fears. Yeah,
if they're there at 4 and all those guys are off the board, they need a point guard. He's young. I hear that they like him a lot. I think that's a possibility.
Rafael Barlow, Locked On NBA big board, James Barlow's brother, has Jeremiah Fears at 4 on his big board.
Really?
James, where you have him on yours?
I've had Fears. I had Fears at 4. I've had him top 5 this whole time.
Can you explain this to me? He's the one guy I've watched that I was really uncertain about. Like, I didn't see a shot, couldn't figure out where he was getting it off. Thought he had great vision. Saw him play pick. Thought he saw the pick and roll well, but he was the one guy I watched so far because I was trying to watch players in the top 5 because we were going to draft 1, 2, 3, or 4, and we're not. But he was the one player who I was concerned about.
So
am I wrong? Why am I wrong?
I'm not saying you're wrong. The shooting he shot 80% from the foul line, so he does have a good touch. At the rim numbers weren't the strongest, but he is 18. He should be finishing prom right now. And he led Oklahoma to the tournament in the toughest SEC conference ever, like statistically ever. And his highs were like he beat Arizona, he beat Michigan, they beat Mississippi State on the road. Like he has it. Game winners, gets to the foul line. You just hope that the jumper it improves. But again, like he's the 3rd youngest player in his draft behind Cooper Flagg and Noah Singh. So,
by the way, it's funny you mentioned the prom because I had as much luck in the lottery. The Jazz had as much luck in the lottery as I did in my proms.
Well, he's 18 and he's still filling out, and nobody can stay in front of him. I've heard college coaches say like we couldn't stay in front of him at all. And that team, they gravitated towards an 18-year-old kid. It says a lot about, I guess you could say, his leadership. They just gave him the ball. And, at one point, Oklahoma they were in the tournament. And I think they had to win like 4 of the last 5, and they did. And, he almost led them to beat Connecticut, which was it wasn't last year's Connecticut team. But I'm just a big believer of his talent. And, like, he's just got some stuff that you just can't teach. Like, nobody can stay in front of him. And we see how wide open the NBA game is. I think he's going to be successful. And if he's in Dallas, I might just go shake his hand, pick him up from the airport myself if I have to. So we'll see how that goes.
I cannot believe the Spurs are up there again.
I know. This franchise in this state.
Thank goodness it's Philadelphia, not OKC. That's my only saving grace here.
I'm happy about it.
All right, I got Mark Tatum back up.
Ooh.
All right. The 4th pick is the Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets.
Ooh. There's still a chance.
The 3rd pick in the NBA draft to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Mavericks versus the Spurs. San Antonio Spurs.
Stop it.
And the Dallas Mavericks have
The
won
number 1 pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas. Isaac laughed at me when I wanted to do a Cooper Flagg episode a couple weeks ago. Oh my God. Wow. Absolutely insane. Cooper Flagg going to the Dallas Mavericks. This changes everything for the Dallas Mavericks. This is a thing that I've been talking about the last couple of weeks as Rolando Blackman is holding the board with the Mavs logo on it.
Confidence, baby. Confidence.
Celebrating. He had the confidence, baby. I'm going to lean into the conspiracy just a little bit that the Mavs are getting paid back. However, for the Mavericks, this changes absolutely everything. He raises your current floor where you are because he makes you a little bit better right now. They've got some things to figure out roster-wise throughout the summer, but you're absolutely better as a defensive team. Talk about getting a player that will help you on the defensive end for a GM that just said defense wins championships a million times over this summer so far. And you also get better in the future. You have something to build around. There's so many different avenues that the Mavericks could go off of now that could completely change everything. The director of PR and Rick Welts there.
By the way, the number 2 pick's pretty fascinating, by the way. Because they have
what do you do with San
Antonio? Dylan Harper is supposed to be the number 2 pick.
Well, but Harper can play. He can play off of a guard, right, James?
Or yes, you can. But again, I talked about it. Like they got the assets to make a move for Giannis. And if I'm Milwaukee, I need somebody to get people to show up to watch. And maybe Dylan Harper is that franchise piece. I know they're gonna have to, like, they need somebody. You could send Harper, Castle, and whoever else you need to make that money work. And now you're not looking like a cellar dweller in Milwaukee. At least you have a future. So I don't know.
1.8% chance, Isaac Harris. How are you feeling?
David? Well, David, could you redo that edit for us?
You like that now?
You gotta put Post Malone in the Mavs jersey like he belongs.
Yeah, do this song again. Oh my goodness. All right, let's hear from our guy from Locked On Blue Devils on Cooper Flagg and what he's actually going to bring, what he could bring to the to the Dallas Mavericks.
Is the best player in this NBA draft, period. I'm JJ Jackson of Locked On Blue Devils, here to tell you why the hype is justified for the soon-to-be #1 pick in the draft. Cooper Flagg, great size, 6'9", over 200 pounds. Flagg can hold up physically down low while maintaining his perimeter fluidity. His jump shot is pure, especially from the mid-range, and his ability to both catch and shoot and isolate make him adaptable in all situations. His experience with Team USA last summer prior to the Paris Olympics, before he ever even played college basketball, was invaluable and had NBA personnel already salivating over what the pride of Maine was going to be. Flagg's motor is high and the defensive chops of a winner he's got, averaging a block and a half and a steal and a half per game while playing at Duke and leading them in every offensive category. Cooper Flagg is one of the rare prospects with automatic Hall of Fame potential. The only question is who's going to be lucky enough to draft him first overall. Cooper Flagg is the real deal. He is the main event. For more Duke basketball news and notes, make sure you check out Locked On Blue Devils.
The answer to JJ's question is the Dallas Mavericks, Isaac Harris. Can't believe it. I can believe it, but I can't believe it. They did whatever they did to the ping pong balls. I mentioned yesterday on the show they should spray it with like a weighted paint or something like that to get the ping pong balls to go, and it seemed like it worked.
Nick Angstead.
Yes, David Locke.
Yo,
I'm going to ask the same question I asked you.
Isaac Harris.
Yes, David
Yeah.
Locke.
Where the sun doesn't shine. I'll see you later.
Wait, I couldn't hear him.
He said where the sun doesn't shine.